Wow, look at that exciting blank canvas. If I look closely enough, I can almost see a couple robots prancing through a flowery meadow. Or perhaps you can see a trendy car design from the year 2045. Or, perhaps more likely, you don't see anything because it's just a blank canvas. Huh. Well, imagination may live in a vacuum, but creativity certainly does not. And that takes us to our topic for the day. Ta-da! Design theory. Uh, I did a few videos, or actually a couple videos about this way back when, and I really liked the videos. They were a lot of fun to do, but they were kind of meandering a bit and unfocused, and the audio quality wasn't great or anything. So I'm just going to kind of go back over that stuff, and this will be a nice segue to my future little video series that I'm going to start soon. So, design theory, always a fun topic. This is kind of like a philosophical art video. So the way we form new and exciting original ideas is by taking something we call our visual library, which is basically just a collection in our brain of everything we've ever seen in our lifetime, um, and that everything we've ever been familiar with. And we take these things and we mix them together and we twist them and we evolve them and we mangle them until we come up with something that we haven't seen before. But it's always based on the things we have seen before. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense to us at all. And that's important. Remember that when you're designing stuff for people, for other people, for yourself. Basically, it needs to make sense. It needs to be comprised of things that people understand, or else people won't be able to comprehend it in any sense. So, the best way to improve your creativity is to really expand your visual library. And this could be done through anything, just looking at art, looking at the world around you, living life, experiencing movies, other people's creativity is probably one of the best ways. And that kind of comes into this collective evolution of design that kind of exists in the art community, but it doesn't get mentioned that much as a collective thing, but it definitely is. We're just building on the artists that came before us, and the artists that came before them, and so forth, until we come up with something that's new to us, and then we contribute to the future generations. And it's all very exciting and fun. So the best way to experiment with our own visual library, which is unique to all of us, we've all seen different things in our lifetime, so we all have something unique to bring to the design world. But the best way to bring it out of us is by doing thumbnails, and these could be anything, just random shapes and things. And generally, I do these in black and white, or basically a positive and negative is a better way of explaining it, because it's not always black and white. But I'm using these positive and negative forms to create something. So I could be just looking at these negative forms and seeing like a shape here. Maybe there's a panel here, and who knows what it is. Or I can be looking at these positive tones and basically focusing on them and seeing, okay, there's like a panel, some kind of shape here, shape here, shape here, shape here. And maybe that's what I'm creating stuff based on. It doesn't really matter. You work in and out, positive, negative, always be kind of thinking about things, looking at the positive, looking at the negative, seeing if anything strikes a chord with you. Working with these simple shapes, it also allows us to focus on the most important aspect of what we're designing, and that is the silhouette. If the silhouette isn't good, then you don't have a good design. You always need to be thinking about the silhouette, because just having something that's boring and doesn't really have a silhouette, it's not going to create an interesting design. So always be expanding your silhouette and thinking about things in weird ways, and doing all that fun stuff. What am I drawing? Who knows? That's kind of the fun part. You just kind of keep doodling around until you see something that works. So you go in with negative, positive, negative, positive. And it might be interesting to hear people talk about what they might see in something. So let me just draw some random shapes, draw some lines, using our lines and things. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And there we go. I drew something. Now what is it? What might you see? It might be interesting to hear you guys post about what you think this particular thing is. What do you see here? It could be a telescope. Maybe there's a guy sitting down here. It's this fancy, elaborate telescope, and he's looking up at some kind of projector, and maybe this is the telescope. And basically, you see how it goes. I just drew some random shapes, but using my own visual library and what I perceive things to be, using familiar shapes and things, that's how you create stuff. So obviously it's not like any telescope we've seen exactly, but it's something. um, but anyway, let me delete that layer. Now there's a bunch of ways to play with our visual library. There's one like I've been doing, which is just making these shapes and trying to figure things out. But you can also do it with other tools, such as the thick and thin tool, which I did in my old design theory videos, which is kind of a nice tool because it creates all these different opacities, and sometimes you see stuff. If you blur your eyes and see the world through a hazy enough, messed up eyes, you can almost make out something interesting in any shape and form. But the other thing is, let's see, what else do we got? One pixel brush, this is fun. Honestly, you can use pretty much any tool, but this one's kind of fun too, so let me just make some shapes. Okay, there's a shape here. And what can I draw with this? Maybe there's a bigger form here. Basically just filling in small forms, large forms, things like that. Repeating stuff here and there just to kind of get the brain working. But there, I create a lot of stuff like this. Sometimes it's a fun way to do industrial design. You may see something here. I don't know what I see here. This could be some kind of limb. This could be some kind of limb. But I don't know what else I'm looking at. Maybe there's more limbs over here. And stuff like that. But basically, I'm just kind of playing with things and then relying on my brain to interpret them into something new and original. That's about the only way you can come up with something new. You can't just create stuff in a vacuum because that won't work. You can come up with ideas in a vacuum and have the imagination and say, I want to draw what do I want to draw? I want to draw like a two-legged robot mech thing. And I want it to be something I've never seen before. And I might be able to kind of visualize certain ideas. But if I just tried to like draw it out very cleanly, it probably wouldn't work that well, would it? I'd probably just wind up creating something that looks kind of terrible. So instead, I'm just gonna let me get rid of this layer again. So let's just say like there's a two-legged robot. So I can make like a leg here, and basically that's kind of what I'm going off of. And then who knows what else? There could be like a big body with some legs and arms. I mean, some kind of arms and stuff like that. I don't know. That one was pretty boring, wasn't it? So let's just use a bigger brush because that might help us out. I could do the body first and then do some kind of leg stuff. And this one's probably more interesting. Let's see, a leg here. Kind of got this weird shape in front, kind of shapes in the back. You don't even know what it is exactly. I don't like the vertical space. Let's keep it real horizontal. So who knows what this is? There you go. But you get the idea. Like, I'm not really creating anything interesting, but I could come back in here with negative space and really define some different shapes. Maybe draw some random circles and things. Basically, you get the idea. So this is what I'm going to be doing a lot in my future videos, which I'm going to do a little series about designing different things. And I'm just going to take a concept, such as a two-legged robot, and then I'm just going to make a bunch of thumbnails, wait until I get one I like, and maybe ask you guys for feedback and see what you see in the individual designs and stuff. Maybe you see something I don't see. I'm sure you do, actually. I'm sure you see plenty of things that I don't see in all these random scribblings. Maybe you see a spaceship. Maybe there's a guy standing here. Maybe it's a part of the ship. But basically stuff like that, and then I'm going to come back with one video just being thumbnails, and then I'm going to come back and refine one of the ideas into something more substantial. So that should be a fun series, and I'll be doing a bunch of stuff like that. So, let's see, do I have anything else to say about design theory? There's a couple basic design ideas that I'm going to be trying to incorporate. One of them you may have heard me mention before, but it's the idea of conceptual contrast. And basically, well, let me talk a bit about where I come up with that conceptual contrast. I like to take theories that apply to other aspects of, what's the right phrasing? I like to take ideas that apply to other kind of creativity. I like to take ideas that apply to other kind of creative endeavors and apply them to concept design and stuff like that. So, for instance, contrast. It's basically the idea of light and dark and balancing things out. But I like to apply that to conceptual ideas, such as maybe taking a robot, which is very mechanical and cold, and you don't just want to make a robot that's all kind of shiny or gray metal, nothing really full of life about it, and just be done with it. Instead, I want to kind of take some elements of other things that are very non-mechanical, such as cloth or basically anything flowy, or maybe some natural elements, wood and rust and vines and things like that, and try to incorporate those into the design. And that'll give it some contrast and won't be so one-dimensional, and it should create something more interesting in the end that's more interesting to look at. I hate it when there's just a boring design that's all just metal, boring machine. At least throw some bright colors in, because that breaks up the concept of a machine when you throw in some bright, vibrant colors. That's like the most basic way to break up the concept of a machine, is to really throw in some bright colors and vibrant colors and stuff like that. So, I did want to mention one other thing before I stop this video. And that was, I just wanted to thank you all for getting me to 1,000 subscribers. So that's pretty exciting. Here I even drew a little bird thing. Oops, let me get rid of that. See, looks like it's a little bird and he's happy. See, yay! So, thank you all for subscribing, and please tell your friends and everyone else to subscribe, and anyone who might get something out of it, and I'll be doing a lot more videos, and it's always nice to get this encouragement.